What's up, guys? It's Liam from the Bruzin F1 podcast. We're just wrapping up the Bahrain Grand Prix. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and we hope you enjoy. What a fucking race.
Yeah, man.
What just happened? I truly did not think any of that was going to happen if you were talking to me like 40 laps to go in the race.
No, and we said it yesterday with qualifying. You could have gave me 100 attempts to, make that top 10 list for qualifying. I probably would have got them all wrong. Same thing with this end result of what we just viewed, 45 minutes ago, basically. We're talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix just finishing up. We're here to review it. We're here to give our, immediate reaction of what we think. Right off rip. Congrats to Charles Leclerc.
Congrats.
Pole position yesterday in qualifying. Race winner today. His first one since 2019. Monza?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Monza. Well, it's huge for Ferrari. I'm so happy. Ferrari's back, hopefully. I know there's a lot of races left to go, but it's so good to see Ferrari up there. That was the first time they had a Ferrari 1-2. Or not a 1-2, but the first time they've been leading the constructors and the teams since 2004 with Michael Schumacher.
That's nuts.
Get a load of that stat.
That is
Are
nuts.
you kidding me? It's almost 20 years ago.
Imagine they bring
18
it back.
years ago.
Imagine they actually bring it back to like that success with Ferrari. I mean, I know, like we said, it's one race. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. But that domination of Ferrari is what I think they expect now with this new wave of Leclerc and Sainz.
Yeah.
Like, I think when they saw Leclerc, like through the ranks, because he was a Ferrari boy, back in, F2, F3, I think they saw him and said, okay, this is going to be our next golden boy. We try with Vettel. We scooped Vettel up from Red Bull when he had his success there.
He wasn't the guy. He wasn't the guy.
At that point, Vettel's first year with Ferrari is when the turbo hybrid era came into fruition at the new F1 regulations back in 2015, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And Ferrari didn't adjust. This year, new regulations again coming. Ferrari, paid their dues a little bit the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, like the last 2 years, that struggle.
Yep.
It's really paying off now.
And now they got the front runner again with Leclerc. So I think they saw it kind of the same thing. Like we had our boy with Schumacher in like the 2000s, dominant. Our boy with Vettel, we thought he was going to be dominant in 2015 and carry the Ferrari into the next step in F1. Didn't work out. Yeah. Leclerc, new regulations, 2022, money's there, funding's there, team support. He's got a great teammate finishing P2 in Carlos Sainz. Yes. Ferrari is back, and I'm fucking psyched. I'm fucking psyched, man. I'm jacked up for this.
It is, yeah. No, and I don't want to give any discredit to them when they got Vettel, because at that point in Formula One, Vettel was the shit. He was the top dog. He was 4-time world champion with Red Bull. They're like, okay, well, if we want to get Ferrari back on the map, we got to sign someone this good.
Exactly.
But then obviously Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton came flying in, and it was just put a stop to that. But yeah, huge for Ferrari 1-2 today. Carlos Sainz, I think he's probably one of the best teammates you can have based off of him and Lando's relationship at McLaren. Definitely a guy you want to have by your side. It's kind of cool. Him and Charles are kind of in the same age range too.
Yep.
So, they can kind of vibe together, but you can just tell that team is like, they're tight-knit. They're a tight-knit team. They know what they want. They have one goal. It's to win the constructors. It's to win the drivers. And they're not looking back. They're going to go full steam ahead for the rest of the season. And I am excited to see Ferrari back on top.
Yeah, you could tell when Mattia Binotto took over the reins a couple seasons ago, or a couple years ago for Ferrari, he looked almost lost. Like, he was with the team for a long time, but he was assuming the role as team principal for the first time, taking fully charge of the team. And they just looked, like I said, they looked lost. They didn't know what they're doing. Again, they had the regulations looming in the back of their mind. Okay, we're not going to push now. We'll save money, save funding. But now you really see it all coming together.
It's a fresh start.
And it's almost like
they're the Febreze brothers. They're so fresh right now.
It's almost like now, yeah, like you said, it's all worth it. Like, yeah, the pain was there. The struggle was there. Now we're seeing Ferrari for who they are.
Yes.
And who they expect to be. And again, I mean, we've touched on it before. When the big clubs or big teams are involved and they're winning and they're competitive, it makes the sport better.
Yeah, I think a huge thing too is Ferrari, I wouldn't say they're fighting for the back, like the back of the midfield. They're fighting for most part at the top of the midfield for the last 2 years, which is giving Charles a lot of driver's experience with overtakes and defending, going into corners and stuff. So he was ready. He was ready to face Max Verstappen in this race. Going into the first corner, we knew Max was going to try and pinch him on the inside. Like you were saying, Charles might just let him go through and then he's going to catch him back on the inside because it was like a chicane almost. It was a longer chicane.
Little inside-outside move.
Yeah, which we saw there was 2 attempts from Max with the overtake. He did overtake him after, but Charles was smart enough to let him go through, catch the DRS right away. He knew that the car's pace was faster than the Red Bulls, even though Red Bulls was like 3-4 kilometers longer on the straight. But that was great defensive driving by him, smart driving, and it shows like he's your Ferrari experience right now. He's your top dog. Yeah,
he was the first Ferrari winner in a couple of seasons since 2019, right?
2019, yeah, he was. Oh no, Vettel won the race after him in Spa.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, Spa. That's right.
So, but I think that was the last Ferrari win.
That's what I was trying to get.
So Vettel won, and then
2019 last Ferrari win. So a couple seasons in a row without any Ferrari victories.
Yep. And
I mean, before this time, I think the last time that happened was over a decade ago. So Ferrari to get their first win, first race of the season in Bahrain now in 2022, kind of sets the pace for what to expect in the next, handful of races coming forward.
Yeah, they look like they were in a different formula.
Yeah, they're the front runners.
Flying.
They're the front runners, and their testing in Barcelona and in Bahrain really showed them to be the front runners. Like even then too, it's hard to take away a lot from testing because like we said before, not every team's like putting their full, their full car forward. They're not putting all that they have into testing right away.
Yeah.
But that being said, Ferrari ran the most laps out of anybody. They had some of the quickest times in both sessions in Barcelona and in Bahrain. And they were saying with this race in particular, with having the different tire compounds and the softs not being as good as they thought they were going to be, and the degradation being worse off than we thought they were going to be, it was more of a marathon than a sprint.
Yes.
And with both Ferrari cars, outlasting the competition, it gave Ferrari a 1-2 finish. Yep. Which would have been a 1-3 if not for Verstappen and what happened last couple laps of this race.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but and at one point I want to go back to it. Sainz was saying that it might be a 3-stop strategy for the race.
Which it was, wasn't it?
I believe so. After the safety car,
because the safety car
gave him a free pit stop, but at that point, we never know. The pit stop, the safety car obviously throws a wrench into things, right?
Yeah.
And we thought that might fare good for Verstappen because he was consistently 2.53 seconds off of Leclerc's pace.
Yeah, he was.
And Perez was pretty close to Sainz for the most part, but you could tell they weren't pushing as hard as the 2 front runners. But and going to it now, I just want to get it out with Mercedes. They did not look up to pace whatsoever.
No, they didn't.
I don't think that they're not the deservers to get the podium. I understand what happens, and that's the end of the race, but I don't think that they deserve to get the podium.
Yep.
And even Lewis said that in his post-race interview. He said, look, it's tough for those 2 drivers that, Checo and Max, that didn't finish the race. But at the same time, you got to be worried if you're a Mercedes engineer or Toto or anyone that's in the garage, what is going on here? Because we got to find some pace somewhere.
Even after the safety car restart,
they were 30 seconds behind.
And they finished the race 9.5 seconds behind the leader, with only a couple laps left to race.
Yep.
Just to touch on, so the 46th lap of the race, Pierre Gasly's car just comes out of the first corner, about to head down the first DRS straight, and his car just shuts down.
Yeah. Was that the final corner, or was that the first turn?
It was the first.
Turn one?
It was
turn one
after the pit stops.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was down the main straight, and then he's going to that left-right chicane, and then it died right there.
We don't know. It might have been an electrical fire. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But obviously, Red Bull powertrains, they had 1 in 4 of their cars with that power unit finished today.
Yeah, only Tsunoda finished the race out of the 4 Red Bull powertrain vehicles there. Max having an issue during that pit stop when he was switching to the soft tires. Right after the Gasly DNF. He goes in the pits, switches from mediums to softs, I believe, or was it double soft? I can't remember.
I think it was mediums to softs because at that point they're just like, screw it, let's throw the softs on and see what happens. Let's try and catch up to Sainz.
Yeah, the whole grid switched to softs during that pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
And right coming out of that pit stop, Max was getting on the team radio saying, "I feel some heavy turning here. I feel like I'm losing power a little bit. Santa Claus is on the roof right now. It sounds like." Or the Lords of the Dance. I don't know what's going on out there. Max was complaining on the radio right away saying, I feel something going on. And to get the feedback that he did, I was kind of confused because they came back saying, no, the car's fine.
Yeah.
Or, we can't do anything from our end. You just have to drive and do your best.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be frustrating for an engineer because obviously the engineer is not driving the car. And his job is to figure out the problems and do all the diagnostic tests on the car. So for GL, it was really tough for him over Verstappen. Verstappen obviously seemed like he was all out of sorts in the cockpit, just like couldn't figure out what was going on. He's trying to get his engineer on because you're fighting for the win. You know, you're 2 seconds away from the leader. You got 10 laps left in the race, and then you get a safety car, and then that was it. Yeah,
and tough for Max too, because as a driver, you know something's wrong with your car the second that you feel it, right? Yeah. And for him to go back to his team and say, what's wrong with the car? Like, what, computer change should I do? What strategy should I go to? And for them to say, we don't know. Yeah. So he's just like stuck with his dick in his hand.
Max, like, we've been at this fucking track for how long now? You guys can't figure out the problem?
I know. So, I mean, that's obviously really frustrating too in his eyes. But, coming down the last couple laps, Carlos Sainz passes Max on the last DRS straight.
Yep.
I think lap 55 out of 57.
It was, yeah.
Or 58 laps? 58?
It was 57 laps.
57 laps. Okay, but yeah.
It was on lap 55.
Yeah, so 55. And then we saw Max just retire the car, going from P2 to a DNF. And then for Sergio Perez's viewpoint, he's saying, my teammate just DNF'd. Is there anything wrong with my car? They say, no, Checo, keep it going. This is kind of just, keep doing your thing, get your elbows out, and get some racing done. He lasts one more lap.
It was the final lap.
He lasts one more lap, and then his car, engine turns off as well. Lewis passes him, gains a podium position, and, like we said, 3 out of 4 powertrain units from Red Bull,
died.
Gasly, Perez, Verstappen, all die.
Yep.
Yuki Tsunoda, the lone finisher for AlphaTauri, P8 for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good points for him, but I mean, one of his higher finishes, that he's raced.
Yep.
Including last season. So we'll just say it. Yeah, Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell rounds out your top 4. Big surprise of the day, your boy K-Mag.
Oh my
finishing
God.
P5. What's up with that?
Couldn't have wrote a better story.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. I think it was huge for Haas as a team in general. You had your two cars were up in, at one point they were both top 10 after the safety car. Mick was in 10th place.
Yep.
And K-Mag was in 7th. And that was unbelievable. He obviously finished 5th because the 2 Red Bulls were out. But what a day. They haven't finished since 2018. They haven't got to the first pit stop in the Bahrain Grand Prix.
That's wild.
Which is insane. Mazepin spent, I think he didn't last 3 corners last year. The first 3 corners of the race he's done.
Yeah.
So huge for Haas.
That's right.
Huge for Magnussen. It would have been nice to see Schumacher in the points, but
yeah. A lot to ask.
Right after the safety car, he got overtaken by, I think it was Zhou Guanyu, who actually had a great race too himself.
Yep, finishing the points there as well.
Yep, finished the points. Big day for Alfa Romeo, actually. Bottas finishing 6th.
Yep.
And then you had Zhou Guanyu in 10th.
Yeah, Valtteri starting P6 on the grid.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunate first lap for him, he dropped almost 8 spots, I believe.
Yeah, he was middle of the pack for pretty much the whole duration of the race up to the safety car.
Yeah, he was kind of fighting just to get into the points for the majority of the race. And then, safety car, we said it. We were sitting down watching the race together. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty standard race for the most part. I mean, some of the names were new that we saw, having both Mercedes vehicles being in like that 5th, 6th range for as long as they were, having Magnussen up there, which was kind of crazy for a while. But for the most part, the race went along as pretty much as we thought it was going to.
Yes.
And we both said, like, we need a safety car in this race to shake things up.
We did.
Boom. Q and Pierre Gasly having an engine failure.
Boom.
And it flipped the last 10 laps on its head.
Yeah.
Bottas, launched from, I think, 12th at the time to like P6 because of the pit stops.
Yes.
And then Esteban Ocon had a really good race as well.
He actually, I can't really count out Alpine in that race. They finished Fernando Alonso in 9th and Ocon in 7th. So they're both in the points too. It looked like they were racing them each other a lot. I found you always found them go over to the Alpines and they were battling each other.
Yeah, they were.
Corners.
I mean, it looks like Ocon had more race pace than Alonso did, and they found that out pretty quickly into the race too because he had team orders, I believe, in the 15th lap or something.
Yeah.
To pass Alonso.
Okay.
Because Ocon climbed from 11th to 8th, I believe, or 9th in those like 10 laps or so, the first 10 laps, and kind of stuck behind Alonso. So when they freed him up and he let go, he climbed 4 spots to finish
finished in 7th.
P7 from starting 11th. And then, Alonso, not the greatest showing by him. He was having some tire problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying how, he started on the softs and I think he only lasted 12 laps. He's the first one to pit, him and Hamilton.
Yeah.
Both made their first pit stops in the 12th lap. And I think he had almost 4 stops because he pitted so early. So for him to still get points in P8, good showing for Alpine.
Yeah.
And then, Oh, sorry, not P8. P10? Is that what he was?
He started P11.
Race result. That's what it is.
Yeah,
So
he started P11 on the grid.
And finishing ninth.
And he finished in 7th, and then Alonso finished in 9th.
Yeah, Alonso 9th, yeah.
Yeah, big for Alpine. And like we were saying a couple podcasts ago, it's tough for Alpine to kind of do any diagnostics on their engine because they're the only one with a Renault power unit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know that they had a lot of problems in Barcelona testing. Bahrain, it looks like they fixed them, but obviously with the result today, it looks like they figured out what was going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, the racing, it did look like it was a lot closer.
Yeah.
Even at the back of the grid. Unfortunately, the back of the grid, McLaren.
Oh boy, yeah. I was wondering if you're gonna touch them or not. I was seeing if you're gonna mention them. You're not wearing the hat. You're not wearing the hat right now.
I'm not. No, I had the hat on today, but I'm not wearing it for obvious reasons. Yeah, I'm just. I don't know, man. They started on the mediums, which was a different call, but I don't see why it would be far fetched from their point of view. They're at the back. They're like, oh, anything can happen. Look, if we can wait and have all these guys. Everyone was on softs in the whole grid, so it's like, okay, look, if we can maybe get up to P10, P9 on mediums, stretch it out, go to softs, but they ended up going on to hards, which I think hurt them because they dropped in the grid even more. Which I don't know how much lower you can get from where Daniel Ricciardo started. He started P18 on the day.
Finished 14th.
Lando 15th, which is just not what you want to see from McLaren, who we definitely thought was going to be fighting at the front, top 4.
Well, I mean, you look at it now too. Actually, they only finished that high because of 3 DNFs ahead of them. So,
oh god, yeah, you're right.
Norris would have been 18th and Ricciardo would have been 17th.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Like, when was the last time we saw McLaren's that far in the grid? It was
like when Fernando Alonso was racing for him.
Yeah, and usually if that's the case too, there's an issue that's happening like mid race. They spin out or they have a puncture or something. This was start to finish where they started and finished.
It just wasn't, dude. They were fighting for spots with Williams, and when that's happening, I'm not giving any discredit to Williams, but we do know that they're not one of the stronger teams, nor have they been for the last 3-4 years.
Yep.
So to see a McLaren having a battle with a Williams, who McLaren finished 4th in the constructors last year.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of heartbreaking actually. I can only imagine how Lando and Danny Rick feel because of all their drive to survive publicity going on too. There's fucking most famous people in Formula One right now.
Yeah, really.
There's like 20 episodes on those fucking guys. They were in every episode.
Oh, because they had such a up and down dynamic season though too, right?
Yeah, they did.
Like Lando being the young kid, kind of like showing off a little bit and like doing as well as he did, and then Ricciardo being the old dog coming in. So okay, I'm gonna like settle this kid down, like show him the ropes a little bit, but it never happened until Monza. Obviously.
It didn't even happen this year. It's just, it looks bad. It's not good on the team, and I feel for McLaren. I know the team has so much history, such an epic history, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Hopefully they figure it out. It's the first race, and you can't count them out just yet.
Yep.
Same thing with a lot of teams. You can't count out Mercedes. Mercedes could come out with some new parts next race and be 5 seconds ahead of Ferrari. We really don't know.
Yeah, and in McLaren's standpoint too, you can only go up from here.
Yeah, I mean, you're rock bottom.
Like if you can't finish. I mean, you can technically finish worse than where they did.
Where they're at, they're low.
But
they're low. Man.
Yeah, they have to look forward to the next race of the season. Saudi Arabia coming up next week, which is nice.
Yes.
One of many back-to-backs to be happening this year. Mm-hmm. This is the Jeddah track. This is the second last race of the season last year,
where Max had that blistering qualifying lap and he ran into the wall.
Yep. Is this the one where Max was giving Lewis the...
Oh, well, yeah.
He was trying to let him pass, and then he brake checked him.
Yeah.
Brake checked him, and Lewis rear-ended Max.
It was that race. I still can't figure out how any of that played out.
I don't know.
I remember at one point, which they didn't show in Drive to Survive, and it pissed me off, was because Max gave the spot to Lewis twice, and Max overtook him once on a DRS straight, which was smart. They didn't show that on Drive to Survive, which that bothered me.
I mean, Drive to Survive is there as a drama show.
I know.
It's there for entertainment, obviously, but they manipulate a lot of things.
They can do so much with the masks too, and they can put voiceovers wherever they want. They could not even be saying what they're saying at that point, and they can just edit something in, right?
Which I'm sure they did.
100%.
Many times.
Took a good advantage of the mask.
There are some reaction videos of the McLaren guys, of Ricciardo and Norris, watching Drive to Survive, and Ricciardo's like, "You didn't say that right there." he literally called him. He's like, "You never said that."
Yeah.
Because he can hear the team radio, and Lando's like, "Yeah, I know. Like, what the hell is that?"
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, they obviously cut and paste a lot of stuff in that show, but I mean, it's still entertaining. Obviously, still did a good job getting the North American market involved.
Yep.
Or else we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, we would not be here. Yeah, like you were saying too, during the race, what I thought was kind of weird was, I don't know if it was on different streams, maybe we were watching it on TSN. If you're watching it on F1 TV, I don't know if you guys got this or any of the viewers did. They didn't show anything in the pit wall. The only thing that they showed in the pit wall was the pit stops. They didn't show the team principals. They didn't show any of the mechanics inside the garage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's one of the new regulations, if they're trying to, shield the audience from seeing what really goes on behind the scenes all the time.
Yeah, maybe they want it to be more private.
I don't like that.
Sure. I don't like that either. And then you were also saying too, and I completely agree with you, that the other teams should not be able to hear the engineers talk to their drivers.
Yeah.
It's great that we can hear it. I like hearing it. It's cool. Obviously, the comedy that we saw with Max just yelling at GL the whole time.
Yeah.
But I don't think the other team should. It just kind of gives them an unfair advantage, and it can hinder what they do with their strategy.
Right. It is a weird approach.
It is, yeah.
Like,
it's just like,
allow that to happen.
Yeah,
like, picture any other sport.
Yeah, so think about football, the huddle.
I was just going to say that.
We're just like, we're going up to listen to, oh, yeah, hey, guys, they're going Hail Mary. Yeah. Okay, we're going to just play freaking full zone defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And I get it. From our viewership standpoint, yeah, put it on.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to hear it. Imagine you hear Tom Brady calling the plays in the huddle rate.
Yeah, he just like phones up somebody else, like, hey, they're doing this. They're running to the left.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to have like a guy designated to be watching the broadcast and just like report back to Toto and be like, Red Bull's doing this. Like, they're doing like they're bringing Max in right now, and then Perez is staying out 6 more laps. It's like, okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, great. Right. That's exactly what it is now.
I'll do that though.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to do
I'll be that guy.
If Red Bull Powertrain is hiring, I'll be that guy for you. I'll be your Doug.
Come on, man. I'll be your Doug.
I'll be your Doug. But yeah, no. Even the day for sorry, my throat's super dry. The day for I want to touch again on Aston Martin. Pretty upsetting. I mean, I know Stroll finished P12. Hülkenberg was in the lead for the most part of the race over Stroll, but then he had that huge lockup on turn 1, and Stroll passed him. But I don't know what's going on with that team, that Aston Martin team. I understand that their development is not quite there right now because they're waiting until 2022 or 2023 and 2024 to get their new factory, get their new wind tunnel and everything. Because they're still at Silverstone, just, they're like that little factory, it's a little team considered right now, which doesn't seem like it is, but...
Yeah, but you still should be more competitive than what you are. And I'm sure like when Vettel gets back, he'll maybe bring some more to the team again. I mean, obviously with Hülkenberg being kind of thrown into this race like he got the phone call, 5 days ago or something, to come in and just do a couple of practice qualifiers and then just go.
Boat. He's like, oh, hey, I gotta go race.
Yeah, he's just boozing it, and then he gets a phone call. Hey, who's this?
Shit. I gotta get off the piss.
So for that team, I mean, I don't expect a lot from them this year. Like, I maybe to finish towards the back end of the constructors, maybe
I expect
P7, P8 for constructors. I don't see them fighting for any podiums, kind of what they did last year. I mean, they kind of had an outlier with Vettel last year, getting 2 podiums. Like he did. Stroll was never really in contention for anything. No. I don't know if Stroll is as good as a driver as we think he might be, or as he's shown before. He's had better results in the past.
Yes.
But I think now it's like he's had a better car now. Like you would think his car now, with the development and years of like putting money into it, and obviously changing hands a few times, becoming the new Aston Martin brand again this year. A lot comes with that. I thought maybe he would like take that and like run with it a little bit and make it more of his team, because he's been there for so long now.
Yes.
Like he's obviously younger in the sport, but like compared to Vettel, but he's been with the team longer than Vettel has, clearly.
Yeah. So
you would think it's more of his team and he should take control of it. And him finishing P12, it sounds better, but he was also almost 22 seconds off the pace of P10. So it was a P12, but like it was a deep P12. Yeah. Maybe this track just wasn't that good for them. Maybe they'll be better in some more tighter, like aerodynamic suited tracks like Singapore, some of the street tracks. We'll see it in Saudi Arabia next week. That's another street track. We'll see if Aston Martin can show up better there, maybe.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I agree with that though.
Oh.
I don't think there's any reason that these teams shouldn't have been able to figure out this track. They've been there for 2 weeks.
Oh no,
they've put in laps.
I totally agree with that.
I understand the preseason testing was a lot of that, but at the same time, you've had a long time to figure your shit out. You know what I mean? And I understand that some teams are well suited better for different tracks and stuff. But if you have, most of the time, teams only have a week to adjust to a track. These guys had how many laps in 2 weeks?
No, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. I just think, like you said, so like certain teams are just better at certain things than other teams.
Yes.
Like I just know, I mean, even like when I was first really getting into F1, maybe in 2016, 2017, the first thing I heard about Red Bull was they have really good aerodynamics. Like
so they're really good high elevation.
They're really good at turns. They're really good at like street tracks. Like really suits like the Red Bull vehicle. And then Mercedes is all about power and speed and like straights.
Durability.
So it's like when I hear that and then I look at the other cars and they kind of have like the same power engine. So okay, that car's gonna be really, really fast. Oh, this car has the same chassis. Oh, it's gonna work better in turns.
Yeah.
I just think that the Aston Martin's kind of in like a weird like middle ground. Like they don't know what they want to be right now. Mm-hmm. Do they have Mercedes engine through Aston Martin?
Yes, it is.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Aston Martin Mercedes.
So they're probably pretty quick, but maybe the chassis is like really lacking, so they don't do as well on the turns.
Maybe, yeah.
And I don't know. It's
but you can't forget that's the same team that has been buying chassis off teams essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, and also looking at George Russell, he finished 11 seconds off from Leclerc in the Mercedes. I don't know, and even 2 seconds off of Lewis. He had a hard day, and I know his tire strategies were a little different. He went right on the hards after the softs, so maybe a little mix up there. But I think all the teams were having a hard time with the tire deg. It was it was a big deal for them. And I know that this year, like you were saying with the 18-inch wheels, it's a lot harder on the brakes to stop them because the more surface area of the tire, which makes complete sense. So they're going to be using more overheating the brakes, which they don't want to overheat the brakes. So they're going to be using more tire sliding in the corners, which therefore is going to, take more out of the tires, right?
It can create more lockups in the turns. It can help. It can like weaken your exit into the next turn, to get on the power and get out of the turn quickly. Mm-hmm. A lot to take in, man. I know we said that the testing has been one thing, but testing with no competition is different than race one of the season.
Clearly, it showed.
And I mean, I think, again, it just kind of goes, give ups to Ferrari for just being as good as they were from start to finish. From Barcelona, they were the leaders in testing.
They were the ones that were talked about the whole time.
Bahrain, leaders in testing. First race of the season, Ferrari 1-2. I mean, that's...
What more could you want?
I think that's how we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, that's big. I think that's all we have for the review. Next week, guys, we're gonna have another recording for the Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
We're gonna probably just include the qualifying into our podcast. So make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button at the bottom. We'll see you next week, and go Ferrari! Big day. Cheers.